What is good? Power Slap 9 is officially a week away today. And next I'm gonna break down the John Davis versus Isaiah Quinones fight. So this one, I'm really looking forward to this one. If you listen to my stuff consistently, you'll know that I'm always talking about the middleweight division and how stacked it is. And middleweight is notoriously slept on, and it always has been. But I think that's gonna change. After this card, man. I really do. I think that people are finally going to start seeing what I see. And I think, whoever wins this fight is definitely going to start getting some more clout. And it's going to be good for the rest of the middleweight division. So Isaiah won the coin toss. So he's going to be slapping first. And that that's a big deal, dude. The coin toss is always a big deal. I get that. I don't think that the fight's going to end on one, like on the first slap. But the, it just is. It's still such an advantage, man, especially when you're going to go back and forth and trade bombs. So it really is a big deal. So let's start with Davis. So yeah, one of the original OGs, man. Say what you want about him. The dude is tough as fuck, man. In my opinion, he's one of the toughest guys in all of Power Slap. In his fight against Wesley Drain, although he should have lost that fight, on his first slap, he did something to his shoulder, and he ended up throwing his second, third, and fourth slaps with his left hand in a title fight. He ended up switching to his right on his last one, which just shows how tough he is, man. Although it wasn't a great slap, I think it was definitely in his head, but still, I mean, you will not break this guy. Straight up. You will not break this guy. You're going to have to put him out if you want to win. For Isaiah, dude, another OG, man. I don't think he gets enough credit for being an OG because we didn't see him for a while, and I'm not 100% sure why that is. I think it was from Power Slab 1 all the way to Power Slab 7, I'm pretty sure. So big break in between for Quinones. And I think that Quinones, that actually did him some good because people are like forgetting that he lost twice. And so he's kind of still got that shiny new toy aspect to him, although he's 2-2. You just basically saw him come back as a new guy and go 2-0. So yeah, a lot of hype for Isaiah coming into this. So let's go through some defensive stats for these guys. Take a look at the slaps absorbed by Davis. 21 slaps absorbed, man. 21. That is so many slaps, dude, compared to Isaiah's 10. You'll notice that he's never been knocked out. His only loss, again, came to Dorian Perez, and he lost by decision at heavyweight. So the guy definitely has a chin, man. He definitely has a chin. Only one defensive foul. And again, I put the asterisk there because there's no footage of that first fight. So yeah, that's why the asterisk is there. Never been knocked down, but I've also put an asterisk there because in the fight against Wesley Drain, he got saved by the catchers twice. So it really should have been 2 knockdowns in that fight, in my opinion. So that's why there's an asterisk there. But technically no knockdowns from Davis and 21 slaps. So pretty ridiculous stats on defense for him. For Isaiah, he's absorbed 10 slaps. He's been finished twice. His first fight ever on Road to the Title, he didn't even throw a slap, but he got knocked out. And then against Russell, he also got knocked out. So both of those were up at light heavyweight. He's made the move down to middleweight now, and he's 2-0 since moving to middleweight. But he carries a crazy chin with him. But he is gettable, man. I think a lot of people are like, again, the shiny new toy, 2-0, eating slaps since he's came back, and a lot of people are forgetting, what's happened. He is gettable, man. Anybody that thinks that Davis can't knock Isaiah out here is crazy. For fouls on the Isaiah side, he has 2 defensive fouls, 2 flinching fouls. He's also been warned a decent amount, so yeah, that's something I worry about with Isaiah. He cannot afford to flinch in this fight, man. Especially with him winning the coin toss, the last thing you want to do is I always say this, there's compounding damage in fights, so he has that advantage moving forward, and the last thing you want to do is give away another second free slap because it completely negates the coin toss, essentially, after the first slap is thrown. So yeah, that's definitely a big thing for Isaiah. He cannot afford to give Davis more slaps. And he's actually, for knockdowns, although he's only been finished twice, he's been knocked down 3 times. So the first one, obviously, is the KO loss. He definitely went down. I mean, he got knocked out. And then in Russell's fight, he got knocked down twice. One of them was a foul. but still a knockdown. Let's let's go into some offensive stats. So Davis has thrown 17 slaps, and I put an asterisk there because again, three of his slaps were with his left hand in the Wesley Drain fight. So although it definitely still matters because he threw the slaps and he was up there, he was competing. It does I do factor it in a little bit just because he got Wesley with a good one on that first slap, and so if he had his right hand and got to throw all with his right hand, I find it hard to believe that he wouldn't have found another knockdown in that fight. But didn't happen. And then again, no footage. So all of these are kind of as best as I can, so to speak. For Isaiah, he's thrown 9 slaps. He has 2 knockdowns, and he has 2 KO TKOs. So obviously he knocked down and knocked out Wesley in his last fight, and then he knocked down and knocked out Ryan Wallace at Power Slap 7. So let's go over the stack up here. So power, I definitely gave the advantage to Isaiah. I mean, in 4 fights he has 2 knockouts, and in 6 fights Davis has 1 knockout. So the drain one, it kind of factors in a little bit, but I think that you have to give the power advantage to Isaiah here. For accuracy, you got to give it to Davis. I mean, in the number of slaps he's thrown, to never have been called for a clubbing foul is pretty crazy. And so Isaiah, you can't really say the same. He definitely has at least 1 clubbing foul, but I mean, he's still an accurate fighter, but Davis's accuracy is very, very top notch in my opinion. On defense, I have it even. I think that you could give the advantage to Davis on defense, but it's close, man. It's close. For presence, I think that you definitely have to give it to Davis. One thing that Davis is good at and has always been good at is he's good at playing off the slaps, man. He's not like over the top with it, but he always does something, and we've seen him, make the oh shit face when he's gotten slapped a few times, and he's able to recover. So Isaiah, that's one thing that I'd love to see more from him, is, looking like you own the shit, man. He never looks nervous or anything, but he never looks like, yo, this is my shit, which is how you have to do it. I mean, in the fight against, I forget I think Davis's fight against Drain, like, before that they were announcing it, or like before they were announcing both fighters, Davis was literally just sitting in front of there staring at Wesley Drain, and he wouldn't take his eyes off him. Like, that's the type of command that you need to have up there to really set the tone, especially as the champion, man. So the presence, I think it's definitely an advantage for Davis. So for recovery, we've never actually had to see Davis recover. And so normally if you watch my last breakdown of the Dakota versus Josh fight, it's similar with Josh. We had never had to see him recover, and we had seen Dakota recover twice successfully. So I would say that that's an advantage. But in Isaiah's case, every time we've had to see him recover, he's done it. He's failed. So although I want to give an advantage to Davis in the recovery, we haven't seen him. And then Isaiah is actually quite bad at it. So I think you just have to leave it even there. That's definitely one of Isaiah's weaknesses, is that when he gets knocked down, he just tries to jump back up, man. He's not that great at recovering. And I think that I don't necessarily know that that's going to come into play in this fight, but if it does, he really needs to make a adjustment there. So let's go over some keys to victory. So for Isaiah, no fouls, man. You cannot foul. He's slapping first, so the last thing you want to do is even it out by having a flinching foul. Yeah, you just have to avoid that at all costs. And you also have to avoid offensive fouls because Davis is a notorious decision fighter. He knows how to win decisions. He knows how to win rounds. And so if Isaiah has more than 1 foul, his chances of winning the fight go down pretty drastically, especially when it comes to a decision. Number 2, so you got to weather the early storm. So Davis is a notoriously fast starter. He gets out to leads in fights. That's how he wins. In the second Azael fight, he won the first 3 rounds, like, very dominantly. But he tends to fade. He tends to fade later on. So for Isaiah, you really have to weather the early storm. He's going to have his best slaps on the first couple, and he's going to have his best eats on the first couple. And then that kind of leads into the third one, which is just chip away at him. Again, Davis is going to come out strong. His chin's going to come out strong. But as you saw in the second Azael fight too, he does fade. Like, the last couple slaps that he took from Azael did not look good for Davis. I mean, Davis clearly won that fight, a 5-round fight by decision. But if that's a 10-round fight, I think Azael wins that fight. So yeah, chip away at him early, weather the early storm, and set yourself up for a late KO, TKO, and don't foul. For Davis, he has to be him. He's a notoriously fast starter. He gets out to leads and he gets out far enough to where he can maintain that. He's got to control his emotions here. He's got a lot to prove to the Power Slap fans, like that he's still that dude. And with all the pressure and the time off, the excitement coming back, you cannot let that get to you. You have to control your emotions. If you try to get it all back on one slap, you're gonna end up clubbing. You're gonna end up stepping. He has to stay in the moment, and I think that he will. I think that he will, but he cannot afford to foul here. He's already at a disadvantage slapping second. So yeah, huge key to victory for Davis in my opinion. And number 3, I can't believe I even have to freaking say this. I cannot believe I have to say this, but don't wear cowboy boots in a championship slap fight, dude. Like, again, I just don't even understand how I have to say this, but it's so true. Power slap is all about balance, man. You need to be balanced when you take a slap so that you don't get knocked down. You need to be balanced when you give a slap so that you don't step. It's literally all about balance. So to put any platform under your heel that separates the bottom of your foot from the floor and from your the top half of your foot, like your toes, is just absolutely idiotic. That's his stick, that's his swag, whatever, man. That's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. So let's go over some scenarios of how I could see this fight playing out. So if it ends in the first couple rounds, I think that it could go either way. Again, I do think that Davis has enough power to put Isaiah out here. I mean, people forget that Isaiah has been knocked out twice. So, and I get it, it's up a weight class, but Davis fought at heavyweight, man. Davis is a big middleweight. So, and he's in his fights against Azael. I mean, Azael has a crazy chin, and he rocked him multiple times. So, I think that if it ends in the first couple rounds, either guy is live. If it ends in like the third, fourth, or fifth, I think it's Isaiah, man. Again, Davis starts quick and he has his best slaps early. He has his best eats early. So right around that third round, going into the championship rounds, is where Isaiah has his best path to victory, in my opinion. I think that by that time he'll have had a chance to chip away at Davis's chin and will have set himself up prime for a knockout. So if it ends in like the third, fourth, or fifth round, I think that it's Isaiah. If it goes to a decision, I think that it's basically a 100% chance that Davis wins. He's notoriously a decision fighter. He knows how to win decisions. And with Isaiah being foul heavy or like foul prone, I just don't see a world where Isaiah doesn't foul at least one time in this fight. And that will lose you rounds, man. It really will. So if it goes to decision, I think it's basically a 100% chance that Davis wins. So yeah, with that said, when it comes down to this fight and how I see it playing out, man, I think that it's going to be a battle. I think that the first couple of rounds are going to be back and forth, and I wouldn't be surprised if Davis ends up winning the first 2 rounds, man. I really wouldn't. But I just see it going a lot like this second Azael fight, to where Davis jumps out ahead early and then starts to fade and then gets chipped away at and ended up finished in the later rounds. I've gone back and forth on this. Because Isaiah won the coin toss, so I've gone, in my head, I've gone Isaiah 4th round, Isaiah 5th round, and tried to play that out in my brain. For this particular fight, official pick, I'm going to go Isaiah. I'll go 5th round TKO. I think it could be the 4th round too, but I have a lot of respect for the champ and his chin, so I'll go 5th round TKO, official pick for Isaiah.